Good morning, everyone. It's an honor to be here today at the Fortune Global Forum and to have the opportunity to address you all. You're quite the impressive crowd, so I thank you deeply for the invitation. And thank you to Vice Premier Young for your remarks and your warm welcome today. I just wrapped up a few days in Beijing, where I met with President Xi and Premier Li. We discussed the expanding relationship between Canada and China as we continue exploratory discussions on comprehensive and progressive trade between our two countries. This means more jobs and more opportunities for our people. It's good news for China, and it's good news for Canada. You see, Canadians understand that in order for our country to succeed and prosper, we have to diversify our markets. And as far as trade is concerned, well, China is the future. This country is an innovative, powerhouse nation with a growing middle class and over 1 billion potential customers with which Canadian companies can do business. For strong economic growth, the answer is obvious. We must work together. We can't afford not to. By keeping our borders open and pursuing progressive trade deals that put people first and reflect our values, we give our businesses access to more customers, and we give our customers greater access to the goods and services they want and need. That's the Canadian way. We are, and have long been, a trading nation. For recent successes, let's look at CETA. The Comprehensive Economic Trade Agreement was a massive undertaking for us. And after many years and many rounds of negotiation with the European Union, we got the deal done. Canada now enjoys free trade with the European Union, giving us preferred access to 500 million European consumers. We've taken our progressive approach to trade in our bilateral relationships as well. In recent years, we've negotiated trade agreements with countries like Ukraine and South Korea, working with our partners to remove barriers to commerce and helping our people get ahead. We've also just added a new chapter to our free trade agreement with Chile, which will seek to improve conditions for women workers and business owners so they can fully benefit from economic growth. International companies also want to work more closely with Canada. The success of our homegrown startups, companies like Shopify and Hootsuite, have made some of the biggest businesses in the world look north. For example, over the past few months, we've done some really exciting things with Chinese e-commerce companies like Alibaba and JD.com. Microsoft is significantly expanding in Vancouver. Amazon has announced new investments and thousands of jobs in British Columbia, Alberta, and Ontario. Facebook just opened a new AI lab in Montreal. Thomson Reuters recently established its global headquarters in Toronto. Alphabet is launching an innovative, cutting-edge smart city revitalization project in Toronto as well. My friends, I could go on, but I think you get the picture. We're becoming the go-to economy for ambitious companies looking to take their businesses to the next level. And we're quickly becoming a world leader in fields like AI, robotics, and quantum computing. So the question you might be asking is, why? Why are these global companies turning to Canada? Well, it's actually quite simple. Canada is a really, really great place to do business. Let me talk about our people for a second. Canada is home to a highly educated workforce spread out from coast to coast to coast. Our cities are bustling with creative, innovative thinkers, and our communities recognize that a static, uniform workforce will produce static, uniform results. That's why Canada Canada champions diversity among our ranks. Different lived experiences lead to different ways of thinking about problems, the kind of creative thinking that leads to innovation and positive disruption. Now, let me repeat that point for the folks at home in French, because it's a key point. Le Canada possède une main-d'œuvre éduquée, et ce, à travers le pays. Nos villes débordent de créatifs et d'innovateurs. Et nos communautés sont conscientes qu'une main-d'œuvre statique et uniforme mène à des résultats statiques et uniformes. Le Canada encourage la diversité, il s'en fait même le porte-parole. Différentes expériences de vie mènent à différentes façons d'aborder les problèmes, à différentes façons de penser, encourageant ainsi l'innovation et les transformations. And as great as our people are, we recognize we don't have a monopoly on talent. That's why we've proudly introduced our Global Skills Strategy, which makes it easier for Canadian businesses to attract the talent they need to succeed in the global marketplace. Practically speaking, for decision makers in business in this room, this means processing permits and associated visas in 2 weeks for select global talent. The 2-week service standard applies also to immediate family members accompanying high-skilled workers to Canada. Being open is good for business, it's good for our communities, and it's good for the world. We've also put in place programs to develop talent in Canada. Canadians already have the highest levels of post-secondary, tertiary education in the OECD and some of the world's very best schools. Our people are what give Canada a competitive edge. And that penchant for trade agreements that I mentioned earlier, it's great for companies looking to access a huge share of the global economy. Our business environment is stable and predictable, which is key when you're mapping out the next 15, 20 years of your company's growth. Business costs are low. In fact, they're the lowest overall in the G7, and our banking and legal systems are widely recognized as being amongst the most stable and sound in the world. On top of that, we have clear, predictable rules for foreign investment, making your lives easier when you're looking to get involved in the Canadian market. Folks, the opportunities that can be found in Canada are tremendous. We've got great people, and we've got a phenomenal business environment. What's more, we understand the importance of working with our international partners. In this new era where change is constant, countries will only succeed if they work together. I've talked about this a fair bit recently because it's so vitally important to all of our success going forward. Globalization has left many people worried they'll get left behind. And let's be blunt about it, their concerns are not wrong. We have to make sure that as the economy changes and grows, all of our people get to share in that success. That hasn't always been true. And the backlash against globalization happens because too many people have felt left out. We have to address that. Here in China, the middle class has grown at an unprecedented rate over the past few decades. And the only way to maintain that growth is to ensure that ordinary people see direct benefits. That takes being open to partnership from around the world. Although, as we heard from the Vice Premier, you know that very well. When it comes to trade and international cooperation, China and Canada share the belief that more openness and more collaboration is the right way forward, indeed, the only way forward. Closing our doors will only hurt our businesses and our citizens. The old model won't cut it anymore. Technology has made it so that innovation and expanding into new markets isn't an option, it's the only option. My friends, in this new era, we refuse to get left behind. Instead, we have chosen to lead. We know there are significant disruptions around the world, in our workplaces, within our borders, within our countries. And people are anxious about the future that seems in so many ways uncertain. People are questioning the idea of progress, that the hard work of one generation will lead to greater success for the next generation, almost as an axiom of our civilization. People are worried that that's no longer true. And as that anxiety spreads, people start to turn inwards. They start to close off. They start to get fearful. If that happens, if that continues to happen, make no mistake about it, we will all lose. We are at a pivot point in the world right now, where we decide whether we work together in an open and confident way and succeed, or whether we all falter separately and isolated. It is very clear, the choice that Canada has made. It is very clear that that's well aligned with the choice that China is making. And we know that countries around the world need to take on this challenge of being bold and confident about their future as well. Whether we're working together to grow our economies with trade partnerships, or whether we're helping each other's companies getting settled into our home markets, our futures are rooted in collaboration. And if we remain focused and together, I know we will all succeed. 谢谢. Thank you very much.